At the end of the story, as the female lead's best friend, I was arranged to marry the second male lead. In this 130-chapter novel, the second male lead loved the female lead for 120 chapters. Just because the author couldn't bear to see him end up alone, they forced me to melt his heart in the last 10 chapters, achieving a happy ending for everyone. What nonsense is this with my family background, talents, looks, and intelligence? I could find any good man I want. Why should I settle for a second-hand man whose heart belongs to someone else? The awakened me resolutely proposed to break up, only for a time-traveling woman to suddenly appear. She clung to the male lead's arm, glaring at me defensively. I'm here now, no one is allowed to bully him anymore. You came at just the right time. My awakening came at an inopportune moment. Tomorrow is my engagement ceremony with the second male lead, Ethan Cole. Right now he is helping me pick out a dress. The man's tone was lazy. They all look good on you, just pick anyone. He leaned against the sofa, barely lifting his eyelids, his attention entirely fixed on his phone. The phone vibrated once. He opened it eagerly, only to lower his gaze in disappointment. Waiting for the heroine's message. Are we even with an engagement looming? You're still pining for the past. What a sentimental fool. The corset was too tight, suffocating. I casually loosened it and said flatly, Ethan, let us call off the engagement. He looked up in surprise. What did you say? Is this guy deaf? I repeated patiently. Cancel the engagement, break up, understand. He thought I was throwing a tantrum. Moving closer, he ruffled my hair and said softly in a coaxing tone, stop fooling around. Fool around my ass. I pushed his arm away. Just as I was about to give him a proper talking to, a pink figure suddenly darted over. She clung tightly to Ethan's arm, eyeing me warily, like a mother hen protecting her chicks. What do you want? Ava Miller, if you don't like him, why are you stringing him along, you two-faced hypocrite? She yelled at me, furiously spraying my face with spittle, leaving me utterly bewildered. Big sis, before you start spraying accusations, could you at least get your facts straight? I'm not Ava Miller. A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face. No woman should get close to Ethan. Speechless, should be checked my horoscope today, ran into a lunatic. But this is actually good. Both the Sinclair and Cole families are prestigious clans with numerous shared interests, placing extraordinary importance on this marriage alliance. If I rashly cancel the engagement, my parents would have a hard time explaining it to the Cole family. Now that this woman has butted in, I can totally make a scene out of it. Thinking it, I immediately put on a heartbroken expression, covering my lips as I tearfully accused, the woman you're seeing outside has come to confront me, and you're telling me not to make a fuss, boo. Who, you're such a scumbag. Behind my palm, the corners of my mouth curled up wildly. Ethan tried to break free from the girl, but she was clinging too tightly, and his gentlemanly manners wouldn't allow him to be rough. The two of them were momentarily locked in a stalemate. Ethan, I'm Chloe Garcia, and I'm here to save you. Don't push me away. Chloe buried her tear-streaked face into Ethan's chest, their fingers tightly interlaced. Ethan, don't be afraid. I'm here now. No one will ever hurt you again. The scene was so beautiful it gave me goosebumps. I raised my phone and snapped photos. These would all serve as evidence. My parents dote on me the most. Once I show them these photos, even if I don't mention canceling the engagement, they drag me to do it themselves. This is just perfect. Please control yourself. Ethan finally pushed Chloe away. He smoothed out the wrinkles in his clothes with great effort, his brows furrowed tightly enough to crush a fly. Yes, he has mysophobia. Back before my awakening, if I wanted to hold his hand, I had to wash mine thoroughly first. Once I got too excited and grabbed his hand directly, though he didn't refuse, he immediately pulled out a wet wipe to clean his hand after letting go, then went to the bathroom to wash his hands 3 times in a row. Back then, I thought he was just hygienic. Now I think he is sick in the head. Of course, the female lead, Ava Miller, was the exception. Even if she rolled around in a mud pit, Ethan wouldn't bat an eye. So much for germophobia. It was just lack of love. When Chloe tried to get closer, Ethan directly called his bodyguards to haul this lunatic away. Chloe widened her eyes, her face full of disbelief. She muttered softly, how could this be? The Ethan in the novel was clearly so gentle. Silly girl, that gentleness was only for the female lead. Returning home, I slammed a freshly printed stack of photos onto the table. Mom, Dad, your princess has been wronged. I puffed out my cheeks, hands on my hips, and flopped onto the sofa. The sofa was made of the latest high-tech material, completely enveloping my body as I lay down, extraordinarily comfortable. What's going on? Mom asked, adjusting her face mask while her flip-flops slapped against the floor as she approached. Dad closed his laptop, adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, and spun his office chair over to join us. I lifted my chin, signaling for them to see for themselves. Hands clasped, embraces, tender gazes. The photos captured Ethan and Chloe's intimacy from every tricky angle. Joke on them. My photography classes weren't for nothing. As the editing guru of the fandom, close-ups, zoom, slow motion, I could whip them up effortlessly. At the sight of the photos, Mom flew into a rage. She thought the youngest Cole boy was decent, but turns out he's just as much of a playboy as his brother. Why drag his brother into this? Dad slammed the table in fury. The Cole family owes us an explanation for this. That same afternoon, our entire family gathered at Cole's house. Coincidentally, the male and female leads were also there. The tall, handsome man and the petite, lovely woman snuggled together, making for quite a sight. However, their public displays of affection, regardless of the occasion, weren't very friendly to a single person like me. Could you please save those matters for your bedroom at home? Everyone else besides me seemed to have gotten used to it. Only Ethan watched the two of them from the corner of his eye, clenching his teeth and tightening his fists. A man's competitive spirit is a strange thing. To prove a point, he came over to hug me, but with a graceful spin, a full 720-degree twirl, I dodged him perfectly. Ethan, things are getting a bit awkward. Mrs. Cole quickly intervened. Catherine, that woman is just a lunatic. Ethan has absolutely nothing to do with her. Please don't misunderstand. Half a day was more than enough for the Cole family to dig up every last detail about Chloe. A father who abuses a mother, who favors a scoundrel of a brother, the standard tragic heroine setup. To the Coles, a woman from such a family could never be connected to their outstanding son. Even if she were, they would never admit it. But, Auntie. Just as I was about to speak, Ava Miller interrupted Kathleen. Don't you know what kind of person Ethan is? How could you doubt him? Damn, what a load of crap, I sneered. If you trust him so much, why don't you just marry him yourself? Ava Miller instantly flushed crimson, while the male lead Julian Blackwood fiercely shielded his wife. He pulled Ava into his embrace, lowering his head to kiss the tip of her ear as he whispered soothing words. Then he shot me a contemptuous glance, his entire being radiating an undeniable aura of dominance. Stop talking nonsense, or don't blame me for being rude, the assistant beside her added pitifully. Miss Sinclair, madam, was so worried about your news that she barely ate 2 bites of food and rushed over in a hurry, and yet you speak to her like this. It's truly heartbreaking. I curled my lips mockingly. My fault, sorry. I don't have such high moral standards. Don't try to guilt trip me with that act. If you were really worried about me, why didn't you come to my place this morning? But then again, how could I ever compare to your dear Ethan? Julian, your wife cares so much about another man. Why don't you just step aside and let them be? Catherine Sinclair, Julian roared. I recoiled in disgust, afraid his spit would land on my face. Why do they all act like fire hydrants spraying everywhere? For in the business world, Blackwood's CEO is nicknamed the Reaper. Others fear him, but not me. The story has ended, and the normal world order has been restored. Business giants like the Sinclair family can't be dismantled just because he says bankrupt them. I noticed him casting several angry glances at Ethan. He was terrified for a creature like the male lead, overflowing with possessiveness and accustomed to solving problems with his lower half. Stirring up trouble between them couldn't be easier. If they had just minded their own business and not provoked me, I wouldn't have had the mood to oppose them. But clearly the male and female leads were never the type to stay quiet. Wherever they went, conflict followed. There's a reason I detested them so much. To put it nicely, I'm the female lead's best friend. To put it bluntly, I'm just her sidekick. I bought her clothes and jewelry, stood by her against school bullies, and what does she do? She forgives all the wrongdoers, and then blames me for not being tolerant enough. When the male lead came to back her up, she ignored everyone else, and just sobbed while looking at me, making him think I was the one bullying her, almost bankrupting my family in the process. It wasn't until Sinclair Corp's stocks hit rock bottom that the female lead hurriedly explained things to the male lead. In the end, my family lost billions in assets only to receive the female lead's half-hearted apology. As for the male lead, he remains aloof without a shred of remorse. That arrogant expression of his still seems to blame us for not making things clear beforehand. Damn protagonist Halo, in the real world someone like him wouldn't even be hired to work at a fast food joint. Dad pulled me behind him. Mr. Blackwood, Catherine is speaking out of anger right now. Please don't take her words to heart. He looked down at Ava Miller with icy eyes. And you keep your wife in check. Our family affairs are none of her business. As an outsider. Uncle Sinclair, I didn't. Ava protested weakly. Dad showed no mercy. Mrs. Blackwood, don't insult everyone's intelligence. Hearing this, Ava turned as pale as a sheet, crying so pitifully that her tears fell like pear blossoms in the rain. If it weren't for Julian supporting her from behind, she would have surely fallen flat on her bottom. I tugged at the back of Dad's shirt and gave him a thumbs up. Dad, you're the best with their interference. Mom and Dad lost all interest in discussing anything further with the Cole family. With a wave of his hand, Dad declared this engagement is off. 5 Carefree and relaxed, I invited my girlfriends to hit the bar in the evening. Under the flickering lights, dancers moved passionately, while the DJ bobbed his head and scratched records. Only one person stood out, dressed in a flowing white gown, quietly strumming her guitar and singing. How out of place. I took a closer look, and oh my, wasn't that Chloe Garcia? Life isn't easy crossing over to perform for a living. Things definitely aren't that simple. Sure enough, I spotted a familiar figure, Ethan. How utterly unsurprising. I took a small sip of brandy, a bit harsh. With less than half a glass, my stomach was already burning with pain. One of the sisters exclaimed excitedly, Catherine, isn't that your fiancé? I corrected her, saying the engagement had already been called off. He doesn't even count as an ex. Is that so? A deep male voice laced with danger came from above me. I shuddered in fright. Could this man teleport? Ethan's expression darkened. Your stomach is sensitive. You shouldn't be drinking. I sneered. Oh, then may I ask why my stomach is acting up? 6 months ago, Ava and Julian had a falling out, and Ava stormed off in the middle of the night. With just one phone call, Ethan took her into his villa. For a whole month, the two lived together, eating and sleeping under the same roof. No one knew what happened between them during that time. All I remember is how happy Ethan was during that period, exceptionally happy. He had always been steady, but at that time I often saw him suddenly burst into laughter like a love-struck teenage boy. But the good times didn't last. Julian found Ava. They reconciled, and Ethan fell from heaven into hell. I watched him humbly tug at Ava's sleeve, only to be decisively shaken off. How pitiful. Not even daring to hold hands, he turned to heavy drinking. I tried to persuade him, but couldn't, so I drank with him instead. Glass after glass of strong liquor, until I drank myself into a stomach hemorrhage. At the time I was writhing in such pain, I couldn't even steady my phone. Ethan thought I was faking it, and watched me suffer in pain for half an hour before finally taking me to the hospital. It left me with a chronic condition. Sorry, Ethan said, his usual hostility fading as he softened his tone to apologize. Too bad. I don't care. If you're really sorry, then get the hell away from me. 6 Ethan didn't argue. He forcefully took the bottle from me and moved to a booth not far away. Hey, beautiful, stop playing guitar and come play with my pecs instead. What else with the act dressed like that in a bar? You're clearly trying to stand out and hook a rich guy. Take my advice, no, and to quit one rejection should be enough. Don't push your luck. Oh, can't stop staring over there. Got your eye on someone? Take a piss and look at your reflection first. You're not worth the price tag on their clothes. Don't get ahead of yourself, sweetheart. We'll treat you right. Get away, help, something's wrong with Chloe over there. I watched as her clothes were torn, then she stumbled and ran toward us. She grabbed Ethan's sleeve, her eyes brimming with tears. Ethan, save me. The petite girl trembled so fearfully that her lips quivered, truly pitiable to behold. But the next moment her expression froze. Ethan shoved her away, right in front of Chloe. He wiped the spot she had touched with disgust, then still finding it too filthy, simply tore off that piece of fabric. What gentlemanly demeanor, all gone to hell. After doing all this, he said to me, I really don't know her. I've seen that expression on his face before when Eva caught us having dinner alone together. Eva wore the heartbroken look of someone who discovered her boyfriend cheating, forcing a smile, as she said, so you two are this close, huh? Ethan panicked and tried to distance himself from me, calling it pure coincidence, taking quite some time to finally calm Eva down. What is he doing now, trying to coax me, pleasing a girl by putting down another? That just makes me dislike him even more. I draped my coat over Chloe and helped her up. She stood there dazed, still reeling from the shock, muttering to herself, impossible, impossible, Ethan isn't like this. I said this is exactly how he is, just not the version you imagined. When it comes to the men they adore, women tend to idealize them, endlessly elevating them to heights they don't deserve, convincing themselves they're unworthy, and then becoming insecure and overly sensitive. Were they ever truly that remarkable? Never. I don't believe it. Chloe shook off my hand. He just isn't. He discovered how wonderful I am yet. I was too hasty. I shouldn't have approached him so abruptly. Yes, that must be it. She convinced herself with a few words, then tightened her coat, gave Ethan a deep look, and left the bar. 7 the next day, I received news that Chloe had nearly been assaulted the previous night. Ethan happened to pass by, rescued her, and took her to a villa he owned outside the city. Of course it wasn't the same one where Ava had lived in Ethan's heart. Ava would always be the most special presence. The place she had once inhabited, no one was allowed to defile it. I guess Chloe isn't doing well right now since Ethan came home early last night. A girl brutally humiliated, then taken to an unfamiliar place. Her long-admired crush abandoned her, leaving her alone in an empty house. She must be terrified. But that's not my concern. She chose this path herself, and whatever comes with it is hers to bear. As for me right now, I need to help the Sinclair family resist Julian Blackwood's pressure. The male lead is so petty, he is targeting our family now. Julian's methods are quite brutal, withdrawing investments. The Blackwood Group has investments in multiple Sinclair subsidiaries totaling billions of dollars in principal and interest, such a massive sum, and he just withdraws it on a whim. This actually made me laugh. According to corporate law, after a company as establishment, shareholders cannot withdraw their capital arbitrarily. Unauthorized withdrawal of investments is illegal and subjects the shareholder to civil or even criminal liability. It's true what they say, tycoons are legally illiterate. Dad, the legal department should be ready by now, right? My dad replied with a smile, I've never fought such an easy battle. The next day, an unexpected visitor arrived at our doorstep. Eva was sobbing. Catherine, how could you sue Julian? I don't want to talk to idiots. I tried to leave, but she grabbed me. The girl had some crazy strength. I couldn't break free no matter how hard I tried. Helpless, I rolled my eyes. If he doesn't withdraw his investment, I can sue him. He just wanted to stand up for me if it weren't for what you said last time. Now she's playing the victim. Her husband was just trying to ruin our company. All I did was throw a couple of sharp words her way. Oh, it's all my fault. I should just knelt down and kowtowed to them in gratitude last time. How utterly despicable of me. Spending too much time with her might turn me into an idiot too, so I decisively had someone escort her out and instructed security not to let such lunatics in again. 9 When withdrawing investments didn't work, Blackwood Group started dumping Sinclair stocks in large quantities. My family bought them all up. I was just worrying about how to reclaim equity. Talk about perfect timing. Their failed revenge ended up benefiting my family instead, making Julian throw a massive tantrum at the company. Employees were ordered to either bring down Sinclair or pack their bags and leave. Today, as workforce isn't to be trifled with. Several executives resigned immediately, and countless lower-level employees walked out without hesitation. Several of these individuals were named characters in the novel, truly deserving of the title elite. That very day, I personally led HR staff to visit each one, successfully inviting them all to join the Sinclair Group. Blackwood Group's stock price plummeted in an instant. This time Julian panicked. He began spreading rumors to tarnish Sinclair's business, and even planted corporate spies in my family's company, hoping to dig up dirt on us. Unfortunately, his methods were too clumsy. We caught him the very same day. The stack of court summons he received grew even thicker as a result. On the 10th day, I was lounging contentedly on the yard's rocking chair, sipping milk tea, when Ethan walked over. Something's up. I don't think he'd come to me without a reason. Ethan bit his lip and hesitated for a long moment before speaking. Catherine, please withdraw the lawsuit. Though he said please, his tone sounded more like an order. I scoffed. Ava Miller went to see, didn't she? Seeing his instantly stiffened expression, what else was there left for me to understand? Ethan, if you were me, would you withdraw? He answered instantly, yes, a dishonest reply. Ethan, this man who appears gentle and refined is actually a wolf in sheep's clothing. When acquiring the company, before he refused to take on any of the original employees, faced with the tearful pleas of hundreds, he showed not a shred of compassion. Now you want to be a good person. Too late. I tilted my head and smiled at him, but I want to. If a snake tries to bite me, I'll crush it under my foot, soak it in wine, and squeeze out every last drop of its value. Ethan's gaze was complicated. Catherine, you've changed. More beautiful, stronger, smarter. That's good isn't it? I raised an eyebrow, shaking the milk tea in my hand. Pity, it wasn't tea. A wine glass that would be looked much cooler. Ethan let out a long sigh. Catherine, drop the lawsuit, I'm begging you. I was used to his indifference, but this sudden humility left me momentarily dazed. So he could beg after all. I still remember, when the Sinclair family was nearly bankrupt, how had he responded when I pleaded for his help? He said you were wrong and wrongdoers deserve punishment. What fault have I committed? Pitiful, laughable. When minds don't meet, even half a sentence is too much. I was about to dismiss them when the butler came to relay. Miss, their essay lady outside who claims to be your friend asking to see you. Her name is Chloe Garcia. I raised an eyebrow. Quite the lively day today, visitors coming one after another. Let her in. When Chloe entered, she cautiously glanced left and right, completely devoid of the fiery demeanor from our first meeting. She handed me the coat. Thank you for the jacket. The jacket's surface was all crumpled. It must have been washed and dried not long ago. This fabric is too delicate. Washing it basically ruins it. But seeing her pitiful little face, I didn't say anything. Chloe twisted her fingers, glanced at Ethan, then looked at me, and timidly said, Kathleen, can I talk to you alone for a moment? 11. The butler tactfully withdrew, taking Ethan with him as he exited. In the courtyard, the fragrance of flowers filled the air under the bright sunshine as Chloe and I sat facing each other. What do you want to say? Could you please stop liking Ethan? What a strange request, didn't he? I already stopped liking him long ago. I was speechless, but she thought I was being stubborn. Tears pattered down. I'll die if I can't get his love. Please, I beg you. You're a system tasker. Chloe's eyes suddenly widened. You. After stammering you for ages, she finally blurted out, you too. I teased her, yeah, and I'm almost done succeeding. Chloe looked utterly devastated, her body swaying unsteadily as if she were about to shatter into pieces. Just kidding. With a single sentence, her expression brightened and she covered her face, bursting into tears of joy. No lies, no tricks. She seemed to have found an outlet for her emotions and poured her heart out to me. She said she was a freshman in college and only picked up this domineering CEO novel after her best friend's complaints, never expecting to get completely hooked. Ethan, the gentle and affectionate second male lead, had her utterly captivated. Every time she saw the female lead trample on his sincere feelings, she wished she could crawl into the book and give the female lead a good beating. The novel's ending was pure garbage, forcing a contrived resolution. She was so furious, she nearly passed out from sheer rage. While unconscious, she received a system notification offering to transport her into the novel's world to save the second male lead, but the price failure meant death. Her mind was completely occupied with Ethan at that moment. How could she possibly care about anything else? She immediately chose to bind, and was then teleported over. As for what happened afterward, everyone already knows. The more Chloe spoke, the more heartbroken she became. When she mentioned having to work 3 jobs to earn money and returning home only to endure beatings and abuse, she broke down in tears. A little princess who had been pampered by her entire family in real life. When had she ever suffered such hardships? She regretted her decision deeply, but there was no turning back. Now, Sister Catherine, can you help me? Chloe had a pair of childish deer-like eyes that glistened with tears when she looked at people carrying an irresistible magic. But that didn't include me. I couldn't help her. Matters of the heart can't be forced. I'm a failure myself. How could I possibly help her? Why, she suddenly shouted at me, you still like him, don't you? You're just playing hard to get into you. I laughed in anger. Helping you is a favor, not helping is my right. I really should rein in this overflowing compassion of mine from now on. Drop the savior complex and laugh at others' fate. Some people are just digging their own graves. Chloe raised her voice. Say something. Did I hit the nail on the head? Don't get cocky. The only reason Ethan is with you is because the trashy author went crazy at the end of the novel. He doesn't love you at all. Someone like you isn't worthy of him. Only I can save him. She's insane. 12. On the 3rd night, my social media suddenly pinged with a friend request. The profile picture was a cute cat with no note attached. In the verification box, I replied, who are you? The other person replied instantly, there's a photo you might be interested in. My gut told me this might be some online creep or lunatic, but since I couldn't sleep and was bored, some entertainment wouldn't hurt. I accepted the request. The other person seemed to be staring at the screen. Within 10 seconds, several photos came through. Chloe and Ethan's bed selfies. My face morphed into that classic grandpa expression people make when seeing something bizarre on the subway. What the heck, Catherine Sinclair? I one playful expression. She's so smug, I can't help but laugh. I'm absolutely delighted. Congratulations. May you live long and prosper and have many children. I swear these blessings are absolutely sincere. But Chloe acted like her tail had been stepped on, ranting wildly while trying to prove I was already furious and just putting on a brave face. I agree, you're absolutely right. The whole world is invited to witness your love. With that, I immediately forwarded the photo to the Cole Sinclair family group chat. I'd forgotten to leave this group earlier. Who knew it'd come in handy now? My aunt, holy shit, and my cousin initially didn't see, clearly thinking some spammer had joined the group. Ethan, Cole, what is going on? Come out and explain yourself. Cole's second brother. The next second the group chat was disbanded. What happened? The group admin was Ethan's dad. Oh, never mind then. Early the next morning I heard from my parents that Ethan had been grounded. The Cole family matriarch flew into a rage, grabbed her cane, and gave him over a dozen whacks. They even called in the private doctor. 13. I opened my chat with Chloe. First came dozens of furious text messages flooding the screen, then she switched straight to voice notes. I skimmed through the text in seconds, but seeing those voice messages, each a full 60 seconds long, I just wilted. Why don't you just call me? Then I checked the call log. Wow, 24 blocked unknown calls. She must be really desperate. The phone rings. Caller ID Ethan Cole. I can't believe I never blocked him. Hello, what do you want? Sorry, she drugged me. Oh, is there anything else? Catherine, I'm hanging up. An expected response. The love-hate entanglement between the mission taker and the target. As long as I don't get caught in the crossfire, this NPC wants no part in it. 14. The litigation process is complete, and the trial begins in a week. I left work as usual, but just as I stepped out of the company gate, a car came speeding past. It was going at least 80 miles per hour. Getting hit would be meant instant death. Young miss, are you alright? My bodyguard saved me. Ever since I chose to oppose Julian Blackwood, I knew this day would come. That's why I hired the top-tier security team at a premium to protect me and my family around the clock. That was absolutely no ordinary traffic accident, narrowly escaping death. My body trembled violently, but thankfully my mind quickly cleared. I had the driver brought over. My subordinates acted swiftly, immediately apprehending the driver involved in the incident. At first, the driver remained tight-lipped, but when I mentioned his daughter, he panicked. I coaxed him gently. Sir, as long as you testify in court that Julian Blackwood attempted premeditated murder, I can guarantee your daughter's safety. Moreover, I'll show understanding for your actions taken under duress and secure you the maximum possible sentence reduction. At the same time, I'll give your family $5 million and arrange for your daughter to attend the best private school. If she's willing in the future, she can join Sinclair Group without an interview. What do you think? He hesitated, then finally gritted his teeth. Are you sure you can do this? Can you guarantee my daughter's safety? Absolutely. For your own safety, you'll need to move into the safe house I've prepared starting now. By tomorrow at the latest, I'll bring your daughter to see you. I said this with confidence. Julian had a habit. He liked to keep his kidnapping victims in a partitioned room on the second floor of an abandoned construction site in the western part of the city. Knowing the location makes rescuing someone much simpler. Who is going to do the rescuing? As a law-abiding citizen like me, of course the choice is to call the police. The outcome was without any suspense. The driver's daughter was rescued, while 3 of Julian's underlings were arrested, and 1 took poison to end his own life. The 3 who were arrested had also intended to bite down on the poison hidden in their teeth to kill themselves, but they were a step too late. The police had already dislocated their jaws. Yet even so, once inside the detention center, no matter how they were interrogated, they stubbornly refused to say a word. Just as the case reached a deadlock, the driver stepped forward. Working backward from the results, the police uncovered numerous clues. Julian couldn't escape now. On the 15th day, when Julian was taken into custody, I stood at the police station entrance, flashing him a sweet smile as he stood handcuffed. Goodbye, Mr. Blackwood. He halted, his fierce gaze lingering on me for barely 2 seconds before the officers forcibly pushed him forward. I continued, twisting the knife. Mr. Blackwood, why didn't your precious little wife come to see you off? Did she dump you? Because you're useless, now that you've fallen from grace. Shut up, Julian snarled. Do you think it's better she doesn't see you like this? SK. Mr. Blackwood is such a devoted lover. Even after catching his wife kissing another man, he is still worried about her feelings. How touching. What did you say? He didn't hear the rest of my words as they dragged him away, while I received a warning not to interfere with law enforcement. But those words just now were like a nail driven into Julian's heart, a haunting echo that stung his soul relentlessly. Truth or lie, it didn't matter. Once the seed of doubt was planted, it would take root and grow. Besides, I hadn't spoken complete falsehoods. After Ava and Julian's breakup, she got drunk, mistook Ethan for Julian, and kissed him for a full half-minute. Would history repeat itself? Who could say? It was just a joke of mine, but when I saw Ethan and Ava standing united at my doorstep, I hesitated. Did I accidentally hit the nail on the head? The car's soundproofing is too good. Their lips were moving nonstop, but I couldn't hear a single word. Miss, with Master Cole and Mrs. Blackwood blocking the way like this, the car can't get through. The driver honked several times, but the two paid no attention. Eva even spread her arms and rushed forward. Leo, let us switch places. I settled into the driver's seat, fastened my seatbelt, then stomped on the accelerator. The car lurched forward instantly. Through the windshield, I saw Ethan clutching Ava as they tumbled out of the way. TCH, you could be left earlier, now get the hell out. As the window rolled down, Ava's desperate scream pierced through. Stop, Catherine, goddamn it, stop. Seeing she couldn't stop me, she started raving. You vicious woman, no one will ever love you, you'll die alone. Thanks for the kind words. At 16, Julian was imprisoned, and the Blackwood Group collapsed rapidly. Its vast empire was carved up by various rivals, with the Sinclair Group emerging as the biggest beneficiary, leaping to become the leader of the 4 major conglomerates. At the family banquet, Grandpa and Grandma showered me with praise, while Mom and Dad grinned from ear to ear. Auntie spoke bluntly. Catherine has always been clever. It was only when she got wrapped up with that Ethan boy that she lost her head. Thankfully, it wasn't too late. A while ago, when we called off the engagement, other families laughed at us. Now, who dares to laugh? Yesterday, the second son of the Cole family came to sound me out, hoping I'd help mediate. I scolded him right then and there. How dare he? I've heard he has been spending every day with Julian's wife lately, and that girl who took photos is still clinging to him too, spreading his affections everywhere without a shred of responsibility. Good thing we broke off the engagement. Who knows what hardships Catherine might have endured if she married into that family. Grandma chuckled. All right, that's enough. Keep those thoughts to yourself. It's better to resolve conflicts than create them. Our position isn't entirely secure, yet best not to make relations with the Cole family too strained. She looked at me. Catherine, is there any reward you'd like? I want to stand on ceremony. I want that office building in the East District Technology Park. Unlike the economically developed commercial center, the East District's greatest feature is its concentration of research industries. Surrounded by numerous high-tech research institutes, the Sinclair family has made substantial investments there. I plan to leverage family resources and combine them with my professional expertise to establish a technology company centered on artificial intelligence. I have a hunch this will be the next big opportunity. 17 I've been swamped lately, and only heard the news several days later. Chloe threatened to jump off a building to force Ethan into marrying her. Ethan was too busy taking care of Ava, who was hospitalized with a high fever, to pay any attention to her. Chloe stood on the rooftop all night, and in her overwhelming grief, she actually jumped amid the jeers of onlookers below. She survived landing on a rescue air cushion, but suffered multiple comminuted fractures and underwent emergency treatment for over 10 hours. Ethan was truly heartless. He never asked about her the entire time. I put on a mask and went to the ward to see her. Chloe's body was completely wrapped in bandages, with only her eyes still able to move. To think the first person to visit me would be you. Chloe's voice was hoarse like the rusty chain of an old bicycle. The once vibrant young girl now looked withered, her fair and tender skin turned as dull as tree bark. The vigor had dissipated from her, not a glimmer of light remained in her eyes. She said, "Catherine, why do you think I wanted to save a man who has nothing to do with me? How foolish. I was locking myself in a cage for unrealistic fantasies, becoming jealous, mad, turning into someone even I detest. I don't want to pursue Ethan anymore. I want to go home. I miss Mom and Dad so much. I was wrong." I didn't answer her, just set down the fruit basket. This time, I still couldn't help her. She yelled at me furiously. 18 It was 10 months later when I saw Chloe again. She sells handmade crafts at the roadside market, all sorts of knitted dolls, exquisitely cute. She saw me first and greeted me warmly. "The state is excellent. That bold, vibrant energy has returned." I teased that I wouldn't save him anymore. She shook her head with a smile. He never needed saving from anyone. "That system mission, I've changed my target. No more chasing after someone else's devoted second male lead. I have my own protagonist now." Looking at her happy smile, I wished her well. "This time may you succeed." Unlike Chloe's peaceful and uneventful days, Ethan and the main couple were having quite the exciting time. Ava gave birth. Counting the time, the conception date happened to coincide closely with Julian's imprisonment. Subtly a few days beyond, the child was not Julian's. Similar rumors were swirling around, even reaching Julian in prison. He was so furious that he smashed his cell to pieces. At the heart of the storm, Ava could only weep in bitter grievance. She always cried, crying so much that Ethan grew annoyed. The old lady of the Cole family had passed away, leaving the chairman's position vacant. Ethan was once her most promising successor, but now he has become such a disappointment. The old lady made a will, leaving the bulk of the group's assets to Ethan's second uncle, Ryan. Ethan was slapped over a dozen times by his father that day. His mother also had a dark expression and froze all his bank cards. Filled with frustration, he saw Ava sobbing uncontrollably and could no longer contain his rage. "Cry, cry, cry. Is that all you can do? Ava, you're nothing but a jinx." The next day, he shamelessly came to find me. "Catherine, this time it's my turn to chase you. Is that okay?" I sidestepped to move aside. "You're blocking my path to chasing dreams." The end.